Yeah.
So Seamlessweb is collecting a lot of really rich data. I was wondering who owns that data and whether you've thought about using it as like an economic predictor or anything to that degree.
Sure. Very, very funny that you ask that. So we do capture a lot of data. We capture data related to spending patterns within different companies. We capture data related to food generally. We took the approach, it is our data, or their now Seamlessweb's data. And there are a whole litany of ways to really mine that data and I believe sort of commercialize it and monetize it. The reality though is that's a different business than the core business, and going back to prioritizing your goals, one of the material decisions or differences between being a subsidiary in a very large company versus managing a business on your own is that, and I say on your own, I mean it's always a team effort and collective effort, and you have your investors and your board and mentors and advisors or what have you, but you collectively can make the decision of what's best for this specific business. Meaning, if we are generating $20 million of EBITDA, but we think next year we should only be earning $3 million, and we believe that the return on that investment is going to be dramatic, as an independent company, you can make that decision. When you're part of a very large business, your EBITDA is potentially subsidizing another person's business. A lot of the strategic planning is done on a macro level, and especially for a business like ours, Aramark's a $13 billion sales company. We were successful, nowhere near $13 billion in sales. And so realistically, even if they were able to get a tremendous return on the investment on a percentage basis, there are other lines of business where they could put $7, $10, $20 million to work and sign a 40-year contract that they knew predictably was going to generate 17% return. And we could never really, at that level or with that magnitude of investment, we never really would be able to provide them with the certainty that some of these other lines of businesses would do, partly because we only have 10 years of history. Our consumer site really only had 3.5 or 4 years of history. And so when you talk about, well, what's the lifetime value of a customer? We don't know. We have some people that use our system 1 day a week. We have a lot of people that use our system 3 days a week. And so we can potentially sort of unlock that value. So in any event, it's a long-winded way of saying there is a lot of data that's there. It wasn't really our primary focus. But I do think that it could create, if unlocked appropriately, could create a lot of value for the organization. And I think not only externally, but if you think about the value from Aramark's perspective, Aramark manages on-site dining facilities amongst a whole host of other different industries. And from my standpoint, we, Seamlessweb, had the data that could help Aramark, other line of businesses, to optimize their own menu mix. At the end of Seamlessweb, we launched a sort of a consulting business for restaurants where we could go to an Indian restaurant as an example, and we could say, we think that you can get more business and capture more business, and the reason that we think that relative to your peers you're much lower is because of these 30 dishes that are the top 30, you have 3. So your menu is really not optimized for the demands of the people in your local community, and so if you you add X or Y or Z, then you're going to dramatically increase the profitability of your restaurant. I think that those kinds of lessons can also be extended to the broader organization, so that Aramark can know company A, what are the people at that company ordering, who, if they're ordering during lunch, the buildings that don't have an on-site dining facility, what are those people ordering? And let's make the extrapolation and say the people that are at the dining facility want to be ordering some of those same things, maybe not all of them, but how can our cafe serve some of those same types of foods? How can we promote higher margin items? How can we do sort of dynamic type pricing items? which you can do online. It's a little bit harder to do offline, and so there's a lot of those kinds of things. It just, again, requires an investment in a longer time horizon in some situations.